It is said in the ancient legends that if one subscribes to this channel, great things will await them. So what are you waiting for?
This access card has been denied due to the recipient being deceased. Exit the elevator now. We had only gotten to the 16th floor before the panel made an announcement and the elevator stopped. The elevator door opened to an empty hallway. Well, I think we'd be borderline horror movie protagonist levels of stupid if we actually leave the elevator now, I said, staring into what could either be our doom or our salvation. Dexter spoke up. I should be able to break into the system and have it finish taking us all the way down. Give me 10 minutes and I'll give us a way down to the bottom floor.
Alright then, everybody out. The boy needs his space, and if we all get out, we'll have plenty of room to defend him as well.
Abraham instructed. Everyone exited the elevator, starting with the doctor and ending with Abraham himself, leaving Dexter inside to do his work. I stole one glance before focusing on the room we had just entered. He had pulled out a futuristic-looking laptop and was typing inhumanly fast with both hands. Tucker noticed my wide-eyed expression.
He's a programmer. One of the best, in fact. He'll be able to get us down there in no time.
I nod and pull out my dagger and future pistol, holding the dagger in an ice pick grip, and holding the pistol over the arm that has the dagger. I soon realized this was extremely inefficient considering the length of the dagger itself and put it away. Doesn't it seem a little quiet for a break-in? I said, breaking the silence that had accumulated over the past few minutes. The doctor answered me in the same voice as earlier. It may be quiet, but look at the walls. Something is definitely coming. The CO joined in.
I highly doubt he's gonna notice the vibrations in the walls. He's just a normal human. Hell, even I can barely notice it.
I strained my eyes staring at the wall closest to me, but I felt the vibrations before I even began to see it. They were consistent and unrelenting, but I couldn't feel any footsteps, as if a literal ton of bricks were being pulled by an ant. The main problem with that wasn't the absence of footprints. It was an absence of any and all sound. However, the trio of super soldiers all began to get irritable before voicing a command. I assumed to their suits. Deafen, they said, before they went back to what they were doing. Aside from them, everyone else seemed to be doing fine for the most part. What's going on exactly? I asked, entirely ignorant to the sound they were hearing. Terry responded a little louder than his normal speaking voice. It's most likely another floor 20 asshole just trying to scare us. Why are you talking so loud? Abraham answered for him with his usual cocky demeanor.
Well, it seems they're hearing a sound you and I cannot. I still merely have the ears of a human, as do you.
And what about them? They're humans too, aren't they?
What don't you get about cybernetically enhanced superhumans?
Abraham said matter-of-factly. By this point, I would assume this is how a deaf person would feel going to a concert. The vibrating was in my feet and practically all over my body, but my eardrums still weren't picking up any sound. But suddenly it all stopped. No more vibrations, all in a matter of seconds, like an orchestra finishing their final performance. Nothing. I tried to say something, but I didn't feel anything in my throat. So instead I mouthed, "What the fuck?" to Terry, and he gave me a short response. Manipulation of sound waves, before he was cut off. I was somehow able to feel the thing's voice in my head. It was like information was being forcibly shoved and translated into my brain. Imagine if you could feel the process of your eardrums taking in the vibrations in the air from someone talking, then translating those sound waves into the words we understand. It's something seemingly simple that our brains do on their own, and we can't feel it. But imagine if you could. That's what this felt like a worse version of telepathy. It said, "Don't bother screaming, no one will hear you. You're in my vacuum, where the laws of physics are mine now." Megami smirked. "Oh, you think you can control vibrations? You must think you're pretty strong." I finally saw the woman when I turned my head. She was flawless, not like Megami, more like a porcelain doll. Her hair looked almost fake and her face had no signs of pores. She was even wearing a gothic Lolita outfit to go with it. The only part wrong with her face was the pissed-off look plastered across it. "Oh, you thought you were the only one who could do such things? Oh, that's just precious." Her voice turned maniacal and her eyes had the look of insanity in them. "I don't think you realize that you'll be dead at the end of all this." She began singing, but I couldn't hear it. At first it seemed like the flawless woman was stopping her from using her vocal cords, but when I looked down at her feet I could see 2 blades being carved out of the metal floor. After only a few seconds, she had fashioned a couple of rough but sharp-looking daggers. The vibrating started again, and I saw that the porcelain woman wasn't moving her mouth.
Such barbaric tools. What are you going to do with those? Who knows? Maybe I'll take a page from the Skinwalker's book and peel your skin off inch by inch. Or maybe...
Suddenly Megami was right in front of the woman.
I can slit your throat right here and now.
The lady made a tiny movement with her finger. Just as she did so, Megami jumped back in an attempt to dodge what was coming on, opening her mouth as she did so, but she wasn't fast enough. Whatever the woman had done cut Megami's right shoulder. The battle was on a level I couldn't see or hear. I was just left to watch an invisible battle. Megami flung both her blades like throwing knives at the immaculate woman. As she sang a deafening song, the blades sped up before one of them collided with the woman's right eye. The second was thrown off course with a wave of a finger. That was when I heard a whisper in my ear.
Let's head out. We're ready.
It was Tucker, and I could actually hear him. He was pointing towards the elevator which already had everyone in it. Wait, Dexter said it would take longer, didn't he?
Plans change.
He gestured towards a tag that was held up by a dagger that I thought I'd missed. It was lodged in a wall and Jacob was sneaking his way over.
Enough!
I felt the woman's voice in my head again. With yet another flick of her finger, one of the lights went haywire, shooting light in all directions it shouldn't be, causing Jacob to have to come up from the ground.
Found you!
She swung her entire arm, but nothing happened. Turning her head, she glared at Megami.
What's the matter? Do you have performance anxiety or something?
The woman's look turned cold.
Oh, well, that's a look I didn't think you could make. You're starting to get me all excited.
By now, Jacob had finally managed to snag the card and make his way back over.
We're leaving,
Jacob said, before Terry shoved me into the elevator.
Ta-ta, little ones. I'll meet you down there. Save a couple of them for me if you don't mind.
Then the elevator door shut, leaving only Megami behind, along with her screams of excitement. Dexter's voice cut through the air.
Oh, come on, guys. I almost had it cracked, too. The programming is so fascinating. Had we left you to it, you would have stopped with a few lines left just to admire their work.
Why are we leaving Megami? I cut him off. Sure, she's a bit of a bitch, but wouldn't she be more useful at the boss?
She was reaching her limit. Both of them were actually controlling that many vibrations, and that power for so long is severely mentally straining. If that doll woman has more stamina than Megami, we would have all been fucked. This is the best course of action, and you know it, Terry stated nonchalantly.
Yeah, but why was Megami screaming like a lunatic when she was nearly out of commission? Just before Terry could answer my question, the elevator doors opened.
Well, look what the cat dragged in. And by dragged, I mean coughed up like a hairball.
I could feel the color drain from my face. It looked just like him, but his voice was different. The familiar blur was more intoxicating than I remembered. Abraham stepped in front of the rest of us.
Run. It's your only chance at survival.
Then, faster than I could register, Abraham punched the thing in the face, smashing it into what appeared to be a cafeteria. The last place I expected our final stop to be. I booked it the moment after, taking any opportunity to get away.
Where do you think you're going?
It was right in my ear. That was when I saw Terry's tentacle whiz right over my head. I kept running until I made it right back to the cafeteria. The fuck is going on here? I asked into the air. I know it was the same place we had entered. There were still the same tables knocked over, and it was the exact same elevator, but no one was there. Hello? I asked to the same empty stillness. This time, though, there was a response. It was him, echoing in my head.
So, you're trying to play hero now?
It sounded like it was behind me. I pulled out and swung my dagger behind me.
Has it been fun trying to be all heroic?
I swung my dagger around again. He tackled me to the ground.
How many more must suffer for you to get your vengeance?
I was trying to fight him, but I couldn't move a muscle. I don't want anyone to suffer, okay? Tears were welling up in my eyes as I remembered that day. I just don't want anyone else to go through what I did.
Do you truly think you have fooled anyone? You are selfish by nature. You know as well as I that that's not the reason you're here right now. You just want to get revenge by killing me. That's all this has been, revenge and nothing more. Did you really cry when Jeff died? Could you actually bring yourself to befriend the one who killed your wife? Or was that all a front? Something you put up to block everything out? Do you actually care about anyone?
It was then that I looked around. They were all dead. Terry, Abraham, Jacob, Rachel, the Marines, and Jane. You asshole. Did you take Smudge's powers or something? No response. Answer me, damn it! In a blink of an eye, it was all gone. Terry had 4 tentacles out, pinning me to the ground. That was definitely their leader. He didn't even actually show up. It was a mass illusion, far more powerful than anything Smudge could do. We need to get going and find him. But how do we do that with no way of knowing where he is? Baby steps, Joseph, baby steps. I calmed down a little, and Terry let me go. Now we need to head out before any more show up. We can't afford to waste any more time, not with the entities on this floor. We managed to find a path that seemed to lead the right way. Based on Jacob's scouting, we managed to make it pretty deep into floor 20. It was way too quiet for how big the floor was. It had to be the largest in the entire place. But we hadn't run into a single entity.
Well, this is a quite precarious situation we found ourselves in,
Abraham said whilst I caught my breath.
What do you mean by that?
Tucker asked.
I mean, look around. No sign of life whatsoever. No sign anyone has ever been down here aside from how clean it is. It's suspicious, to say the least.
Well, maybe they didn't expect us to make it this far. You said they were sending higher threat entities to the upper floors, right? Rachel asked. Dexter answered her.
There's a problem with your hypothesis. The first card we used, it was cut off at the 15th floor, and said the person who was supposed to be using it was dead. Had it been keeping track of the vitals, it wouldn't have led us onto the elevator to begin with. Which means someone must have found the body and reported it to whoever controls access. In turn, they would have known we had the means to kill threat level 20s before we got down here. Ultimately, there should be things down here, but for some reason or another, there aren't. Hey, 049, you got...
I will tell you what I tell everyone else. It's the doctor. Call me anything else and I will cleanse you.
Yeah, sorry about that. Doctor, you got any clues what's going on here?
He managed to get out his question without much hesitation.
Why would I know anything like that? Jeff was the only one who worked here. So why would I know anything about the layout of this building?
Well, I mean, with how long you've been around, I figure you might know a thing or two, since you've probably seen a thing or two. Did you guys hear that?
Everyone nodded, and after a bit I was able to hear it too. Get ready, everyone. This is definitely going to be a threat level 20. Terry said, preparing as best as he could. I pulled out my pistol, holding it up with 2 hands. Everyone else was readying for what was about to come.
Yay! More things to burn to a crisp! I can't wait to taste your charred flesh.
That was definitely the sound of a preteen. By all accounts, he looked like a preteen. He was even wearing clothing to match.
Oh wait, you're intruders, right? I was told to be careful of you.
He looked at me.
I need you not to die, okay? Can you do that for me by any chance?
I was confused. I didn't understand what he meant. What do you mean? I'm just some guy. Why wouldn't your boss want one of them alive? I gestured to everyone else. He snickered.
It's not the boss that wants you alive. I just love the sound of a human who's lost all hope scream. The meat's not too shabby either.
You're disgusting, but someone I can handle,
Tucker said, walking over to the child.
Get your ass over here, Poindexter.
Dexter caught up to him almost immediately. They each readied a rifle that almost looked like the pistol Tucker had given me. Each fired a few rounds, but the kid created fire with a simple wave of his hand. As the fire dissipated, we saw he was uninjured.
Don't be stupid. We can handle a squirt like this,
the doctor said. Terry agreed. He's right. Just let Abraham handle it or something. I've seen your organization fight weaker and lose.
Terry, let them do this. Sure, they may be weak when it comes to physical strength, but when they fight something that is about as strong physically as your average human, they put up quite the fight.
Abraham verbally retaliated. I can't say I have faith in them. This kid is a pyromancer. He's not exactly the weakest one in the world either. Terry had just finished his sentence when Tucker started talking again.
You know, I've beat the shit out of a lot of things. A lot of things that look like people, too. You ain't human, and you're not gonna make me think otherwise.
Tucker finished loading a new mag into his rifle as Dexter did.
There's a lot of different metals in the world, you know that?
The kid actually answered him, though it was a sarcastic tone.
97 is a big number. You think you can count that high?
You know, out of all those metals, we've discovered one that no pyromancer can manage to melt. No matter how much they put time into melting it. They just can't quite ever burn that fire hot enough. You think you know what metal that is?
Tucker was on the verge of monologuing, it seemed, until the kid answered yet again.
What? Why would I know that? Seems kind of pointless, don't you think?
All you pyromancers are the same. Never think with your head, 'cause your fire's so hot you think you can melt
Before
anything.
Tucker could finish his rambling, the kid made some hand gestures. Next thing I knew, Tucker was lit ablaze.
Man, humans are so lame. What about that other robot man? Do you want to play with me?
Tucker walked out of the fire like it was nothing,
Tungsten.
was all he said.
What?
The kid asked, both confused by Tucker not being injured as well as what he said.
What do you mean, tungsten?
Tucker responded.
Tungsten is the only metal that pyromancers like yourself can't melt. You'd think it'd be mithril because of the magical properties and whatnot, but out of all the pyromancers I've seen, tungsten is the one metal none of y'all can melt.
What's your point?
The kid spat, like what Tucker said left a bad taste in his mouth.
Well, I'm not melted. Neither is my gun. And neither...
He shot 3 bullets in rapid succession. The kid tried to block, but the fire quickly dissipated.
are my bullets.
He attempted to blow the barrel of his gun. Either he forgot he still had his helmet on, or he was just trying to look cool.
Sorry, Dexter. Thought that one would be more like... well, you know.
Dexter nodded.
Never call me Dexter. Ever again.
Tucker nodded back.
Sure thing. Tasted gross coming out of my mouth anyway.
When I looked over, the body had a single bullet in the head, and there were 2 bullet holes in the wall to his right. Dude, we finally caught up to you guys. It was like a total pain getting down here. A familiar surfer bro voice cut in through the silence. Hold up. Who are you guys? They look like total douchebags. Smudge was behind him, and from what I could see, Chad was unharmed. I couldn't tell if Smudge was, though. Oh shit, you're finally back. I was getting worried about you two, I said, a bit more excited than I meant to sound. Joseph, it's not them, Terry said. Bro, what are you talking about? We're like, totally us. Who else would be a dumbass? Strike 2, Terry said under his breath. Okay then, what's the square root of pi squared? Chad hesitated, then responded. It's pi, duh. Strike 3. Terry finally took the time to turn around. You're an illusion, aren't you? Chad grinned and Smudge disappeared. Before you ask, I'll just tell you. First off, Chad wouldn't be able to make it down here, even with Smudge. If he could, he definitely wouldn't be unharmed. Secondly, Chad doesn't talk shit to me. And he's never called me a dumbass, that's for sure. He changed his tone to the same smugness Abraham always had. Chad wouldn't be able to figure out that question so quickly. Terry finished, and the Chad-alike began clapping. Wow, dude, I'm impressed. Sure, this body may be, like, a minor illusion and all, but it usually fools even low-ranked entities. Guess there's no getting anything by the man, the myth, the legend, Kinet. Terry was managing to hold his anger back. Oh, what's the matter, bro? You're starting to look a little mad. Tell you what, if you can find me, the real me, I'll totally fight you, for realsies. With that, the Chad pasta disappeared. I walked over to Terry and patted him in the general lower back area. Don't worry, man, he'll pay for calling you by that shit. It sounded like he somehow had gritted teeth. Oh, I know. I'll make sure his death is slow and painful. That bastard's gonna get what's coming to him.
We continued traversing the halls for what felt like half an hour before we finally came to what we thought was it. Is this guy trying to look like a stereotypical villain? I asked.
There's definitely a hint of villain to it if my years of hunting down paranormal shit has anything to go by,
Tucker said. It's like he wants us to find him or something, honestly. Sure, it took us a while, but seriously, Rachel added.
Well, I mean, if you're going to be a villain, might as well showcase it,
the doctor retorted before Terry butted in. Yeah, it's a red door with a black skull that has flames coming out of it. I don't care. Let's just take this guy out so we can get back to normalcy. He seemed more irritable than usual. I mean, even after fighting Takeo, he wasn't like this. Hey, Doc, I whispered, but all he did was sigh. What's up with Terry, man?
I'm not entirely sure, in all honesty. If you couldn't tell, Terry isn't exactly the type of person to share his feelings.
Fair point. With that at an end, I readied my pistol. Tucker handed me an extra mag.
These are hollow point rounds. When they peel open on impact, they'll release even more of you-know-what than them FMG rounds. Whatever is on the other side of that door, don't hold back. Especially you, Terry,
Jacob said. Just before Abraham charged the door, yelling,
For Narnia!
The rest of us followed him in after, seeing a chair at the end of a long, villainy table. Oh, come on, dude, you aren't even trying at this point, just turn around! I blurted out right as I saw the most villainous of villain chairs. After slight hesitation, it did in fact turn around. What sat there looked familiar. That blur that Abraham chased after. The one we saw as we got off the elevator. The blur that looked just like Smudge.
I suppose it was only a matter of time before you all showed up. What would you like me to say? The jig is up.
The thing asked as though this was all some prank. You know damn well why we're here. Don't act like this was just some harmless internet scam. We're here to make you answer for what you've done, Terry said, getting taller as static filled the vacant sound.
Oh, really? You are all going to make me answer for what I've done? Says the one who quite literally murders children if they wander too far from home.
Tucker was about to interject, but the thing only spoke louder.
And he's with a group that murders innocent entities because they were given orders to.
He projectile vomited the words as he spoke. Then he turned to Abraham.
A zombie who zaps the energy from surrounding souls to keep living, just to get more day of life.
The doctor was his next target.
A plague doctor who turned to the darker arts because he couldn't keep a single patient from dying.
Then to Jacob.
A skinwalker who murdered his family just to sacrifice them to a being that didn't exist, only to later be confronted with the power he so desperately craved.
Then Rachel.
A woman who just wanted to bring her little sister back to life after accidentally killing her, only to find out that no matter how many people she killed, you can't bring a soul back to a body.
Finally, the inevitable.
The 9-to-5 officer who could have prevented his wife's death had he only just listened. Now he walks through life hollow and alongside murderers.
He paused.
Guess that was pretty spot on if none of you are coming after me right now. How close to home could I come if I really wanted to? Poor old Tucker never managed to please his father, you know?
He said, looking in my general vicinity.
Never could get his dad to believe in him. Then one day he comes home and his dad is dead. But the real twist is that's what got him into what he told his good old dad he'd never do for him.
I put him off by firing 4 rounds from my pistol at him. You bastard, shut the hell up! He was gone as soon as they left the barrel.
Don't you remember how this works, bit of a human? Sorry, I meant Joseph.
Right as he said that, I felt a wind as powerful as a hurricane fly past my face. I saw everything like normal now. Apparently Tucker had nearly pulverized my head, a fist millimeters away from my head. The bullets that I'd fired were firmly planted into Dexter's chest. Thankfully, he wasn't dead. Great value smudge wasn't anywhere obvious, though. That was when it finally hit me. The illusion wore off right as Tucker was about to punch me in the face. "Hey dickhead, I was an orange belt." I elbowed right behind me. Surprisingly, it made full contact. When I turned around, I saw a leaned-over dollar menu smudge. He sputtered out a "fuck you" before everything seemingly went back to reality. "Oh, come on, I'm tired of this Inception bullshit. Just come out and fight us like a man!" I looked behind me, and again he was there. "Wait, what the hell is going on?" The doctor answered me.
"Well, I did give you at least 2 different steroids to speed up how fast your muscle tissue repaired. But even that shouldn't have been enough."
As I looked down at the man, the smudgy texture began to dissipate, revealing a frail old man.
Just take me then. You're with the USPM, right?
The old man said with a voice that matched his appearance to a T. He was looking at the soldiers as he said it. I'd never heard that acronym before. I looked it up, but I doubt they're from the ones that show up. Special Ops is my guess. "Hey, hold on, we came to talk to you before anyone else. Why was there a contract placed on my wife?" I couldn't manage to tear this time. My emotions were probably shot from everything that had gone down in a matter of hours. Why would anyone have placed a contract on her?
I can tell you one thing, but I swore an oath not to disclose information on clients. I will leave you with this, and that's all. You've already met them. It was between 2 odds.
After a short pause, he finished.
All right, boys. Take me away.
"With pleasure,"
was all the CO said before injecting a clear liquid into one of the old man's fading veins. We left the same way we came in, though it seemed one thing the old man did before being sedated was put everyone but us to sleep. Thankfully, he had a MasterCard we were able to use. Because that porcelain woman's card wasn't working, we stopped at floor 16 with the elevator to pick up Megami, who was out cold but still breathing. Next stop was floor 10, since it wouldn't go any higher. I was amazed by the sheer number of entities this thing was able to force into unconsciousness. Smudge had a hard time blocking us from other entities' vision. That's when I realized that the old man likely could have had us kill ourselves if he really wanted to. But for whatever reason, he didn't. Hell, he even put everyone else to sleep for us, when he had absolutely nothing to gain from it. It's possible he wasn't the bad guy in all of this, but if that's the case, there must be a whole shadow government or something. Eventually, we came across the floor that I was terrified to step foot on again. He was laying there, no more alive than when we had left him there. Terry picked him up with his hands to carry Jeff, the not-so-bad killer, out of this wreck of a bunker. One final stop came before us. I had no idea if they would be alive. But when we got to where we left them, they were both there. Smudge was surprisingly still conscious. Chad was not, though. Nods were exchanged, and we exited the bunker at long last.
"Hey, Johnny. We need an extraction. Lost an arm, but we captured our target. I also need to relay what I'm about to tell you to Sergeant Major Whitney. We have acquired the subject and are currently waiting on extraction. We need to keep an eye out for Jay."
CO Jacob finished his report over the radio. Shortly after, there was a pitch-black helicopter overhead that had a few ropes dangling from it. They were the only reason I knew it was just me hearing things.
"Well, boys, you gave me an entirely new outlook on things. It was nice working with you."
I could have sworn I heard him say something else under his breath, but it was inaudible. And just like that, they were gone. Now what are we going to do now, then? The person who put the contract on Jane's still out there. We don't even know where they are, for crying out loud. Joseph, leave that to tomorrow's you. It may have only been 5 hours, but I guarantee that was the most physical, mental, emotion, and spiritual strain you've ever put yourself on. Surprised you aren't out cold right now, in all honesty. Terry had a knack for speaking things into existence. But there were any number of things that could have knocked me out at that time. Rachel using supernatural chloroform, Terry strangling me, Abraham smacking me over the head. Hell, it could have been that smudge making me fall asleep. Whatever it was, all I can remember was thinking to myself, what a strange place to put a lighthouse, as I looked out at the ocean before my world went blank. The next day, or maybe the day after next, who the hell knows. Anyway, when I woke up after however long had passed, I immediately stood up. Only then realizing how bad of an idea that was and collapsing back onto my bed from the numbness in my legs. Terry! Terry! He burst into the room after the second Terry, yelling, "What is it?" He seemed rather annoyed. I felt way better than I had in so long and I couldn't figure out why. "Hey man, how you doing?" Oh shit, was I high? I know Doc gave you some pills and he said there'd be side effects, but this is ridiculous. I started talking like I was asking him to tell me a secret, whilst very high and loopy. Psst. T-Man. Psst. What do you got on those posters, huh? Guess you'll have to find that out on your own, won't you?